CTV News with Ricardo Veneza.
I will clear the room.
I'll do you a favor. I'll clear, because in the face of unfairness and not democracy,
Order.
I'm leaving.
A contentious decision day in Tecumseh, as you can see there, where council had to vote on a zoning change to secure federal housing money. Good evening. The town of Tecumseh was approved for more than $4.3 million under Ottawa's Housing Accelerator Fund, aimed at fast-tracking home construction. Now, council was looking at relaxing its zoning to more easily add gentle density in residential areas or risk putting those funds in jeopardy. Robert Lothian joins us with more on this tonight and how things broke down. Robert.
Yeah, Ricardo, this proved to be contentious right to the end. At stake here was about $3.2 million of that federal funding that you had mentioned. In the end, council narrowly voted to keep 4 units as of right out of Tecumseh. Council voting 4-3 against the permitting of 3 additional residential units on one lot. This comes on the back of months of pushback from residents fearing how this would change the character of the town. Loosening zoning restrictions, including the 4-by-right policy, is a key condition of the federal program and would add 1 more unit by right than what is already approved provincially. Now, a staff report shows losing the housing money would mean a 4.15% tax levy hike. Among those voting in favor of 4 units was Tecumseh Mayor Gary McNamara.
It's maybe not a clear understanding in terms of what, how this, this procedure and what the half is really all about. I believe a lot of fears in terms of how development was to certainly proceed.
The big question now is what happens next. Town officials will be writing to the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation to inform them of this decision. They will then wait to hear whether federal funding will indeed be clawed back. Ricardo.
Yeah, an eventful decision day in Tecumseh. Robert, thank you for that. That's CTV's Robert Lothian tonight. Well, now to a stunning crash in Riverside's Lakeview Marina last night, where a driver ended up in the water and is lucky to have escaped with their life. It was a split-second mistake behind the wheel that could have ended in tragedy. CTV's Travis Fortnum has more from the dramatic scene and how it unfolded.
Of all the things fished out of the water at Lakeview Park Marina, this one might be the biggest yet. The result of a simple but dangerous mistake.
He's very lucky to be alive.
Just after 9:30 Monday night, Windsor police say a man behind the wheel of an SUV in the marina parking lot hit the gas instead of the brake, sending him straight over the brake wall and into the dark water below.
I heard a splash in the distance, didn't think nothing to it.
William Pigeon was docked nearby when he heard the splash, but splashes here aren't unusual. It was what happened next that got his attention.
There was a big commotion. I hear maybe some people yelling in the distance, and there's fire trucks showing up.
The SUV sank fast, but the driver got out just in time.
He said on the passenger side, the window was about half open. It would be very scary to be there. So he's very lucky he was able to slide out the window when he did. And he's still here to talk to us.
Police say the driver wasn't impaired, he just panicked. His vehicle is likely a write-off, spending nearly 3 hours total submerged.
He was cold and wet, a little shaken, of course, disappointed in the loss of his vehicle.
Once pictures hit social media, a crowd formed as crews worked to haul the SUV back to shore, towing it off shortly after 11. The marina mishap making waves Tuesday morning, the hot topic on Virgin Radio after host Johnny Parks came down to check it out himself.
When they pulled it out and they flipped the car over, I guess whoever owned the car, they went in and they were looking to see what they could salvage, and it looks like the guy got his wallet out of there, which is at least a little bit of saving grace.
The driver walked away with a ticket for careless driving and a story he'll probably be telling for the rest of his life. Travis Fortnum, CTV News.
In Amherstburg this afternoon, a garage fire brought onlookers as crews rushed to crush those flames. Heavy smoke could be seen clearly from the roadway as crews sprung into action. At this time, there is no official word of any injuries or displacements as a result of that fire there, or a potential cause either. And an update over on our website, Ontario's Special Investigations Unit is investigating after a driver bolted from a traffic stop only to crash down the road. You can stay up to date on time, or online, I should say, anytime at ctvnewswindsor.ca. You'll be on time as well. Well, after Stellantis revealed its heavy tariff-induced losses, General Motors is out with its own second quarter results, showing core profit fell by 32%. The auto giant says U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs took over $1 billion out of its earnings in that quarter. That drop happening despite strong sales in the first half of the year for one of Detroit's big three. GM and other automakers saw a surge in demand this spring from consumers who are trying to beat the tariffs as the White House threatened and then delayed their implementation. Well, it's those tariffs that are dominating the conversation in Huntsville, where the Prime Minister joined premiers on day 2 of a First Ministers Summit. Officials are working toward some kind of tariff deal with the U.S. with a new August 1st tariff deadline set by the White House. Mark Carney made it clear provinces and territories need to do what they can at home, as securing a tariff-free deal looks unlikely at this point. CTV's Rachel Aiello has more.
Prime Minister Mark Carney was in good spirits as he arrived on scene for today's talks, but quickly he got down to business.
We are looking for the best deal for Canada. We're only going to accept the best deal for Canada.
Premiers came in saying they wanted clarity on whether the two countries are on track towards a new trade pact by U.S. President Donald Trump's August 1st deadline, and came out indicating they care less about when a deal is reached, rather what is in it.
It sounds like we're making some progress, making sure that we get the best deal and not just the deal available.
I would be worried that if we constrain ourselves that we have to get a deal by a certain date, that we maybe have to, maybe do some things or give up some things.
Carney met behind closed doors with provincial and territorial leaders for more than 2 hours, telling them that he and senior federal officials are engaged in continuous discussions with the Americans. But the Prime Minister offered no assurances that a good deal for Canada will be reached in the next 10 days, or whether the country is ready to retaliate with counter tariffs.
We'll take stock if there isn't one that works. A good deal is something that preserves, reinforces, and stabilizes those relationships as much as possible. A good deal is also one that doesn't tie our hands.
Premiers then took part in a strategy session with former ambassadors to the U.S. about next steps.
There's one thing we can thank President Trump for, is getting us moving, getting us united like I've never seen before.
The Prime Minister and Premiers also discussed ways to build new trade relationships with trusted partners other than the U.S., as well as ways to support affected industries should tariffs linger. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Huntsville, Ontario.
Canadians' response to Donald Trump's trade war and 51st state rhetoric has earned the ire of the U.S. president. Trump has been calling Canadians mean and nasty for boycotting U.S. products. His ambassador, Pete Hoekstra, says Canada's approach doesn't contribute to a positive relationship between the two countries. CTV's Abigail Beeman on reaction and what it means to the future of Canada's relationship with the Americans.
Well, there are reasons why the president and some of his team refer to Canada as being mean and nasty to deal with.
Speaking at the Pacific Northwest Economic Region Summit Monday, U.S. Ambassador to Canada Pete Hoekstra offered these examples.
Canadians staying home, that's their business. I don't like it, but if that's what they want to do, it's fine. If you want to ban American alcohol, that's fine. It doesn't necessarily send real positive signals in terms of they're treating us well.
Then offered a line that got a laugh about his own cross-border business.
I can get alcohol across the border if I wanted to, because we go back and forth to Michigan and they don't check my car when I come back. Okay?
If you're a mean and nasty Canadian for standing up for our sovereignty and our economy and our jobs, well, I think most Canadians would be proud to be considered mean and nasty.
The audio was received by and released from BC's Premier's office. David Eby is calling on Canadians to keep it up, keep buying Canadian and vacationing in Canada.
think it's interesting that Americans have a hard time understanding why Canadians are so angry at their president's suggestion that our sovereignty is at risk.
I'm pretty shocked. I find it very ironic. President Trump is calling us mean.
One former Canadian ambassador to the U.S. says the pot is calling the kettle black.
Leave the ambassador out of it. The president says this over and over again. He's constantly calling us nasty and terrible negotiators and everything else. The United States is one of the most protectionist companies in the world.
Frank McKenna stressed the overall positivity and optimism from Ambassador Hoekstra. So too did the U.S. Embassy, telling CTV News in a statement the ambassador spoke for nearly an hour and emphasized his optimism about the future of the Canada-U.S. relationship. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Meantime, Canada Border Services is reporting today 187 kilograms or more than 400 pounds of cocaine was seized over at the Ambassador Bridge in a transport trailer coming from the U.S. Suspected drugs were stuffed into 2 suitcases and 5 garbage bags, which you can see here. Officers believe the haul is worth over $23 million. CBSA says the bust happened in late May. A 55-year-old Richmond Hill man is charged with importing cocaine and possession of cocaine for the purpose of trafficking. Well, there's a new way to educate and embrace Indigenous culture here in Windsor, Essex. Caldwell First Nation is set to host its first powwow since reclaiming their land, and the community at large is welcome to attend. As our Stephanie Mazzotti tells us, it's part of a broader effort for people to learn about the region's past.
All aboard the first Caldwell Powwow Bus Tour.
And there's opportunities to teach, we're going to do it.
Caldwell First Nation teaming up with the Windsor Port Authority and Tourism Windsor Essex Pelee Island to highlight many hidden and ancient Indigenous sites.
Education isn't just about reading in books or learning something in school. When you hear the stories directly from the First Nations, it has more meaning and it's more accurate.
The last stop, the first powwow to be held on the Caldwell First Nation Reserve in Leamington.
We're showcasing dancers, our culture, our heritage, drummers, our food, and so it's a time for us to bring people together. It's not just for our community, it's not just for First Nations people, it's for everybody to come and enjoy and learn a little bit about us, enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy everything that the powwow has to offer.
The event is scheduled on August 9th and 10th. The bus tour is free, but entrance into the powwow is $10 per person.
And what we're hoping to do is plant a little seed with this powwow, and every year watch that it grow a little more and more, and the unity between First Nations and the surrounding communities coming together.
Ticket information and departure details can be found on our website, ctvnewswindsor.ca.
It really demonstrates that reconciliation is happening today. It's reconciliation in action.
Stephanie Mazzotti, CTV News.
Okay, building for our community's future. And after the break, Gary Archibald's going to talk about the heat that's building back into the region.
That's the only thing I want, to helping people.
Still ahead, our Bob Belichico shows us how a generous donation is set to make a difference for cancer patients in Windsor, Essex. CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald joining us now for a check of the forecast. Gary, after a couple of gentle summer days, the heat turning back on.
You're right about that. Good evening once again, Ricardo. Folks, we are looking at temperatures now approaching 30, maybe 31 degrees Celsius as we roll into tomorrow afternoon. Wednesday afternoon will be more humid, and we've been blessed, as Ricardo alluded to slightly cooler than seasonal values of late. Case in point today. Reach a high of 26.4 degrees Celsius. Our average high is 28.1. The low this morning was 14. It has been sunny and clear for the most part. If you saw any cloud, it was of the fair weather variety, and there wasn't much of it. This ridge of high pressure stays in place for at least one more day before we'll see real infiltration of our airspace of the next low pressure system that will bring clouds, and some of those clouds will be of the precipitating form. There's good news through the overnight. It is a quiet one. Tomorrow's sunny, but then Wednesday night into Thursday, I think showers are a possibility for the morning and again in the afternoon. More likely to see the worst weather just to the north of us, closer to Sarnia, Grand Bend, and then tracking a little bit further north and east from there. That cold front could elicit not just showers, but be the trigger for some thunderstorm activity. The overnight tonight, technically tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning, Wednesday, clear with a light breeze, less than 10 kilometers per hour in terms of sustained winds. 16 degrees Celsius is about a degree and a half below seasonal for this time of the year. So we'll take it. Should be a lovely evening. Open up the windows, get some circulation, ventilation, airflow going, and you don't need to run the AC. Sunshine tomorrow. Look at this. 30 degrees. Okay, it will feel anywhere from about 34 to about 36. So we'll have to abandon feeling like this is the end of summer, the beginning of fall, because that's what some people have been talking about. Some sunshine for tomorrow, changes over to some showers Thursday, as mentioned. Friday, cloudy and wet. The weekend starts off wet. And then Sunday, fair weather, still in the low 30s as we approach Monday and possibly even Tuesday. So rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then back to sunshine. Temperatures warming in particular for tomorrow. So stay hydrated, stay cool. Let's look at your weather.
The heat is making its comeback. Gary, thank you for that. Well, the TSX also making a bit of a comeback, a bit of a surge today, up 47 points. The Dow up 179, while the NASDAQ falls 81. The Canadian dollar staying strong as the U.S. dollar goes through its trials and tribulations. You can see there the Canadian dollar up to 73.34 cents U.S. Gold up another $37, 30 cents an ounce, and oil is down 64 cents a barrel.
Discussion here at Windsor City Hall.
Windsor's top stories.
A major project is about to get underway.
Breaking news alerts.
Severe weather is a possibility.
And watch live.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Download the CTV News app.
Start your day with the latest local news. By signing up for our newsletter, you'll get direct local content straight from CTV Windsor to your inbox, including top stories, the forecast, and videos. You can sign up at ctvnewswindsor.ca.
A generous donation looks set to make a big difference for cancer patients here in the region. As our Bob Elachico shows us, the Windsor Cancer Center Foundation's Show Us Your Brave campaign, always a big hit. Well, it has hit a new high.
This is just another example of people making that decision. Sometimes people, they will never, ever be.
John Viacelli took the Show Us Your Brave campaign to another level Tuesday. He topped off the campaign, helping it go from $376,000 to the $500,000 mark.
I make feel good. That's the only thing I want, to helping people.
The money raised from the campaign stays local.
We make sure that we're supporting the program and ensuring that they're getting state-of-the-art equipment or supporting the programs that currently exist and ones that will likely unfold.
Now, according to Jonathan Foster, VP of Cancer Services here at Windsor Regional Hospital, the need has never been greater. He says in 24-25, there were 5,000 consults for new cancer diagnosis here at the center, with another 116,000 visits across all service streams.
That's about a 10% increase year over year that we've seen steadily. Windsor Essex has one of the highest growth projections for new cancers in all of Ontario.
Cancer doesn't stop because the economy changes. Cancer doesn't stop because of uncertainty. We have to show our brave. We have to step up. We have to continue to do it.
Foster says the increase is in all ages, with lung, prostate, breast, and colorectal being the most common cancers seen.
That's why things like the stem cell program that we're doing, as well as the new radiation bunker, are so important for us to be able to treat these cancers as they come through.
Fundraising money through the Cancer Center Foundation has helped support the stem cell program and radiation bunker, which have, in turn, improved cancer survivorship.
the best message is to make sure that you're getting your routine checkups with your primary healthcare provider, your NP or your GP. Do the routine screening that gets put out there, because the earlier you get diagnosed, the better your survivorship chances are.
Bob Belichico, CTV News.
Well, staying in healthcare, we'll go to Erie Shores Healthcare in Leamington, where the hospital saw a $1 million donation that's going to help brighten patient rooms there. The money was given anonymously and will help kickstart room refurbishment. It can cost as much as $500,000 per room, a minimum of $250,000 to update the spaces with new technology and privacy features as well. A new online platform helping domestic abuse survivors has launched in the Toronto area. CTV's Pauline Chan has more on the supports that it offers and the plans to expand its reach.
Ellen Campbell is a childhood sexual abuse survivor and the founder of Abuse Hurts.
Today, it just hit me today that, oh my gosh, this is what I needed 30 years ago.
She was speaking about a new online platform called Empower Web, being launched by Abuse Hurts, an Ontario-wide organization.
It started just to be around prevention and awareness, but now we provide support, for instance, products for people leaving abusive situations or starting over, housewares, toiletries, men, women, children. We service about 100 agencies and do about between 8,000 and 10,000 individuals a year.
Every 48 hours, a woman is killed in a domestic violence situation. Helena Kamika says Empower Web was created to help fill the gaps in services for survivors.
And part of it was agencies were like silos and they weren't speaking to each other.
Empower Web can be accessed through any computer, tablet, or smartphone. But public libraries are a special place of safety for people in domestic abuse situations.
Your abuser, whoever that may be in your home, might have access to your phone, might have all your passwords, might have control of the computer, might not let you, really have any privacy at home. So we needed to find a safe place for people to go.
Right now, the platform quickly links viewers directly with various service organizations across York Region, whether you need counseling, clothing, or other support. And as Empower Web develops more partnerships, the hope is to expand beyond York Region to the whole of Ontario and eventually all of Canada. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Pure Country 89, Windsor's country music station. Pure access to the biggest stars and the hottest songs. Download the free iHeartRadio app to listen to Pure Country everywhere.
Welcome back. Well, if you went to Tim Hortons last week and got a coffee, you can congratulate yourself. You took part in what the company says was a very successful camp day. It's announced the results from its annual campaign. Canadians helping the company to raise more than $13 million meant to, of course, help kids get to camp, with as many as 325,000 deserving children getting a crack at some bonfires and s'mores. Well, more treats are on the way for Tecumseh this time, with Ribfest returning this weekend. That begins on Friday over at the Tecumseh Arena grounds. The all-ages event will include live music, vendors, and a family-friendly zone as well. Okay, Gary is back with a wrap of his 7-day forecast. And Gary, as you were talking about earlier, we're getting back into the 30s with some heat and humidity building back into the region.
You're right about that. The combination of those two elements will make it feel a lot warmer, and we'll see some sunshine changing over to significant cloud cover for a stretch. We were sunny and warm but comfortable for about 3-4 days in a row. It looks like we'll see 3, maybe 4 days in a row. That's Thursday at least through Saturday, where cloudiness dominates. Tomorrow feels like 34 to 36, sunny and a high UV. Use that sunblock. Showers Thursday, Friday, Saturday possible. And then sunshine and fairer weather next week. Sunday into Monday, Tuesday. First day of the week is Sunday, and it's sunny. remember to use that sunscreen. I can't stress that enough. Too many young people out there I'm seeing. No sunscreen, baking in the sun. It's a good idea. Let's look at your weather. Have a good night's rest, and we'll see you tomorrow. Ricardo?
Okay, Gary, thank you. Well, finally for us tonight, folks, the music world is remembering a rock legend tonight. The iconic and at times controversial Ozzy Osbourne has died just weeks after playing his farewell gig for Black Sabbath in his hometown of Birmingham, England. The Prince of Darkness and the band rose to fame in the 70s and gets credit for the creation of the metal subgenre. Osbourne died at the age of 76. CTV's Heather Wright takes us back over the life of the extraordinary performer.
The godfather of heavy metal, the Prince of Darkness. Ozzy Osbourne was a showman, a singer, and later a reality TV star who rose to fame in the 1970s as the frontman of Black Sabbath. Known for his iconic wail, Osbourne was an icon of the heavy metal genre he helped pioneer. Today, the Osbourne family said in a statement, "It is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning. He was with his family and surrounded by love." Born John Michael Osbourne in Birmingham, England, Osbourne recorded more than half a dozen albums with Black Sabbath, including hits like Paranoid and War Pigs. But by 1979, his struggles with substance abuse were so severe, he was fired by the band. Mama, I'm coming home. Osbourne went on to have a successful solo career and was later inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, with both Black Sabbath and as a solo artist. Both beloved and controversial, Osbourne once bit off the head of a bat while on stage and was arrested for trying to strangle his wife while drunk. He later reconciled with his wife Sharon and became a reality TV dad to a whole new generation in the show The Osbournes, along with 2 of his 5 children, Jack and Kelly. In 2020, Osbourne announced he had Parkinson's disease and, despite his health challenges, tried many times to return to the stage. Just weeks ago, he performed from a black throne on stage with Black Sabbath in his hometown of Birmingham. It was his first show in 20 years with the original band members, and it would be the last of his legendary life. Heather Wright, CTV News.
May he rest in peace. That is our time tonight, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow at 6. Until then, I'm Ricardo, Veneza, and for everyone here at CTV on both sides of the camera, have a great night.